Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of the show, Trek Wednesday, stardate 2018.024 at 2200 Eastern Standard Time. I'm joined here tonight by our Chief Research and Development Officer, the Science Extraordinaire, Sir Darth Proteus. Say hello to the audience out there.
What up?
We also have a guest speaker tonight who will be doing all sorts of crazy operations inside research and development. The Mad Doctor himself, Dr. Venkman. Say hello to everybody out there.
Greetings.
I love that intro. So, folks, week one of the drop, 8th anniversary game is out there now. The ship can be obtained. Some people want to blow Lobby on it. Probably already got it. That console is OP as mofo, and all the other ships and the traits out there. There's so much to go through with this right now, plus the new featured episode, which I believe, Doc, you have not played yet because you are busy doing a lot of R&D, re-engineering and R&D stuff.
That is correct.
But you'll enjoy the heck out of it, I assure you.
Yeah, if we decide to talk about it, he might want to plug his ears, not to spoil the ending.
Well, you can discuss it, without spoiling it at all, right? I mean, right?
There's just... You can't really discuss it without giving it away, because it literally is an Easter egg.
Fine, we'll leave it. We'll leave it for next week. If you haven't played by next week, here's your spoiler warning. You have 1 week, one freaking week. Do not complain that we revealed spoilers when we said that you've got 1 week to do this before we reveal the damn spoilers. I'm done.
Yeah, it was a pretty big spoiler too, because it's glorious. It's just what I'm going to say about it's glorious.
You're really kind of giving it the hard sell here. This better be good.
You're going to want to play this episode, Doc.
All right, well, once I get my ship, I will.
You do that.
You still haven't got Discovery yet?
Nah, and I've sunk like 80 keys into it.
Yeah, I sunk 130 to it, and then I decided to just sell keys and buy the ship directly.
No, apparently the strategy is still you wait for somebody else to pop it so that it scrolls across the screen, and then apparently the magical number is, according to one, 50. You got to do 50 boxes, and chances are good you'll hit it.
Yeah. It's a lot of people still having success with that method.
That was the gentleman who last night opened up 200 boxes, and out of those 200 boxes pulled 5 ships.
Yes. I remember. I was there for those 5 ships, and I was cursing him the whole time.
Conversely, though, you pop 200 boxes.
Yeah, it's a lot of boxes, but he got 5 ships. I mean, he kept one and he sold the other 4, and currently they're going for 555 million. So
it's actually come down since yesterday, because there was some price wars going on yesterday. People were buying them up left and right, trying to jack the price up. Some people got them yesterday at like 350, 400 million, and then I guess a bunch of the big buyers came on and they bought it up, and they were keeping the price at about 700 million for most of the day.
All right. So for the uninformed and the uninitiated, what's the big deal with the ship?
It is one of the sexiest science ships to ever grace the game.
That's subjective, bro. Come on. I mean, the looks aren't all that great. Is the performance that great?
Yeah, but you hate the show, though. So.
I don't hate the show. I just dislike very strongly the way they take science and piss all over it.
Yeah.
But that's here nor there. How's the ship performance? Does it make up for the lacks of sexiness?
Well, to me, the ship is the sexiest ship ever, but that's beside the point. But it is a very, very nice, very well-performing boat. It flies like a dream. You can load this bad boy up with all sorts of exotic, and we're even finding there's a couple of other guys that are playing around with the ship. They're running a fire at will build with some exotics mixed into it, and they're finding that the ship is performing very well with just about any build. I'm coming into Sol number 5. Oh, actually, I can't go to Sol 5.
Where are you at?
I am loading into Sol right now. Let's see which one it is. Give your audience a preview of what the ship looks like. And sadly, though, there is no special bridge. I am completely salty over that one.
Why is there no special bridge, Cryptic? I guess ran out of time or something, or what gives?
I mean, one of the most wanted, sought after ships in a very long time, not counting the T6 Connie or the Ant J. This ship was, I mean, everybody wanted this ship for a long time since Discovery came out. And then they went and did the ship. They did a phenomenal job on the way it looks, okay? And I'm going to have you zoom in on this thing just so I can prove my point. Where are you at? I'm over by the warp in. I see you. You're 10 kilometers away. They did such a phenomenal detailed job on this ship, okay? What I want you to do, Odin, is get close to me and try to zoom in on me and look at the bridge itself. You can actually see into the ship. Zoom right in on my nose and look at where the ship is and look around. You can actually see into the ship. Oh, of course, you're playing the Omega game.
Under. Never mind. No worries. No worries. I'm going to have to get under.
Yeah, try to get as close as you can to the actual bridge area, because it's on the top.
Where are you right now? You're in 5?
Yeah, Sol 5.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, if you can manage to somehow position yourself to zoom in so you can see the bridge up close. But you'll have to zoom all the way in, scroll in.
I see through the bridge.
Now, all right, you see where the blue thing is on the top, the blue top? If you look directly at that, forward facing, okay? Not from an overhead view, from the front of the ship. If you look directly at it from the front and try to zoom in as close as you can actually look into the bridge. Change your angle. Come back a little bit.
I got this.
You might want to back up a little bit so that you're looking at the very front edge of my ship.
There's some really ugly looking Connie right there that's been blocking my view. Can't figure out who or what or why.
Most glorious ship in the game.
All right, you, sir, are also on crack.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Try to manipulate it.
Look at that. You're right.
You can see right into the bridge, and you can see where the stations are. I mean, it's not fully totally detailed, but you can make out enough of it to tell what is in there. If Odin could learn how to fly, we wouldn't have this problem, but
Hey,
all right, now zoom in so that you can try to angle. Then you're going to try to move your mouse so that you can zoom into the right angle on the ship. I guess your zoom in isn't that great.
Guess not.
How is his zoom in any different from everybody else's zoom?
Depends on your graphics settings, your graphics card.
Okay.
But yeah, you could literally look right into that bridge. And that's one of the salty points about this, is that they went and took the time to get that miniature detail there. But they didn't have the foresight to know that anybody who bought the ship would want the bridge. I mean, I don't even care at this point if they come out with a Zen bridge that I could buy for it. I want the bridge.
It might just happen.
Well, maybe the guy who designed the exterior is different from the guy who was in charge of the interior.
It's a possibility.
All right, so how does a ship actually handle when you're in an STF?
It's got a turn rate of 10, a base turn rate of 10. It's got a very high inertia, so it turns very well. It's very fast. It speeds up and slows down very quickly. The 4-3 weapons layout is actually pretty nice for a full science boat, because we've got the SecDef, we've got the sensor analysis, we've got the subsystem targeting, we've got all that. And you've got 2 engineering consoles, 4 tactical consoles, 5 science consoles. So this is one of those boats that can really do it all. And the fact that you've got Intel Temporal makes it even more versatile.
And it has a secondary.
Yes, sir.
Very nice.
It's got the SecDef.
That's secondary deflectors for those who don't know.
All right, Odin, back up a little bit so you can see the side of the ship. I'm going to do the jump.
Oh, no. Not that thing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the selling point, really.
That is the selling point.
All right, we're looking at this from the
position?
side.
Activating Spore Drive now. And just stay where you're at.
Where'd he go, George? Where'd he go?
And there I am.
What the hell?
Now, is that on a timer, or do you have to actually reactivate it so you jump back?
It's on a set timer. It's 8 seconds for full jump back, but you can deactivate it at any time. I wouldn't recommend it because you don't get the full use out of it, but you can actually jump back instantly if you wanted to. Now, the console itself has a 2-minute lockout, so it takes 2 minutes to recharge. But so far, we've noticed you can do it just about anywhere.
What about the trait itself that it comes with?
The trait itself, I'm not too keen on because it's not really that big of a deal. It's the Black Alert trait, and it gives you 12 seconds of these spore duplicates. Once every 3 seconds, you get a spore duplicate that deals damage to foes, blah, blah, blah. But it's only triggered by using either Intel, Beam Overload, or Cannon Rapid Fire. And I've messed around with it a little bit. The damage doesn't seem to be all that useful, although it probably would be a little bit useful for distracting your targets if that's what it was meant for. But I myself won't be running it because I don't see a use for it on my science boat. But the fact that they deal kinetic damage might be useful on a torpedo-based boat.
Only if it scales with whatever plus kinetic damage that's available on the torpedo boat itself. If it doesn't, useless.
Yeah, I don't have any kinetic stuff on this boat to boost it, so I couldn't tell you. But the console itself, the Spore Drive, it actually has some pretty good passives for science. You got 13.3 exotic particle gens, 13.3 Drain X, and 13.3 Control X expertise that you're getting just by slotting this thing up. Plus, you're getting plus 50 Starship scientific readiness to improve the cooldowns on your science bridge officer stuff, which makes a perfect sense for a science boat. And I've tested the Lorca maneuver. That's what they're calling that console, the Lorca maneuver, in ISA. And I've seen anywhere from 2,500 DPS to all the way up to 5,000 DPS from doing that maneuver, depending on where you hit it. And you know me, I like to use the console that comes with the boat. But she is a sexy beast. Right now, I've got the temporal shield on it.
And is that console transferable?
The console can be used on any ship.
Yep.
And so can the other console that comes off the sarcophagus ship, the multi-tractor relays, but I haven't messed with that one yet.
That's the one where you're beaming all of the dead bodies from space, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
No.
All right, here's the standard skin for the Discovery ship. This is without the shield effects. And apparently there is a special drop in weapon packs when you're opening up the Discovery weapons. There's a chance that you will get a random item called the Shield Visualization item. It's basically it's just for your visual slot, and it basically gives any ship the Discovery skin, which is the standard skin on the ship.
I think that's going for around 90 million right now.
Yeah, it's a pretty rare drop. I opened like 60 boxes, didn't get one.
90 million.
Yes, for a visual.
Skin. Yeah.
Some people really have some money, huh?
Yes, some things you got to pay for if you want them. Now, adversely, right now this ship is really expensive on the exchange, and it's unusual for a lockbox ship, but I kind of figured it would be considering the popularity. But if you give it like a week or two, that price should be right around 375 to 400 in about a week. And then once it hits the Infinity lockbox, it should go down a little bit more from there. So if you're patient and you want to get this ship eventually, the price will come down. Of course, now that I've said that, all the whales are logging in, jumping on the exchange, and buying up all the ships.
Good. Oh, sorry.
Odin?
Nothing. I don't want the show being accused of manipulating the market yet again. You know, especially with the whole EPS is DPS. You know, buy our EPS consoles.
And as you can see right there, the size comparison between the Connie, the Kelvin Connie, and the Discovery, the Discovery's a pretty big boat.
And the cells.
Extremely long nacelles.
Yes, I kind of like the elongation.
Size.
Looks pretty cool.
Size isn't everything.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. So, with that pretty much wrapped up on it, this thing is what? Ideal for Science, Science Plus, Super Duper Science, and Extreme Science builds.
It's actually a pretty versatile ship for a fire at will build too, for anybody who wants to do it tactically, because it's got OSS on it. So I mean, you could do a pretty nice fire at will build on this boat and still get away with it and do decent numbers with it. I mean, you probably won't break the ultimate record for DPS, but I don't care about that anymore. I just like the way it flies, the way it handles, and the fact that I can do mega science on it. So.
Up there he goes. Bastard. All right, let me see this. 4, 5, 6. All right, let's see if this happens there. Boom! There he is. That's a trip.
Yeah, it's about an 8-kilometer distance for the jump forward and jump backwards. Sometimes it seems it's a little bit more or less depending. And that random bug right there, sometimes it'll just spin and drop by itself without using the console. Apparently that's going to get fixed. And for those of you wanting to use this console on other boats to do the spinny, apparently that's not supposed to be happening on other boats. You'll still be able to use the jump and the benefits of the console itself. But I think they're going to take out the ability to do the spin maneuver on all the other ships, because it's supposed to be theoretically only the Discovery that does that. That's what I heard anyway. I'm not sure if there's any truth to it.
I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I would think that, one, for people who got the Discovery ship, they want that to be exclusive for them. But at the same time, it's a console that actually does that effect, so why not?
Okay, so can I take the console off the Manticore you're currently flying and do the crazy animations that it does on my boat?
Assuming that the console is supposed to represent modifications to the ship for you to be able to do that ability, yes.
No. I'm just saying, can I get those animations on my boat right now?
No,
I cannot. Because I can't even put the console on my ship. So
so it's not even the console that's transferable. So your argument's moot at this point.
Well, I mean, look, the guys at CBS were probably having an epileptic seizure when they figured out that basically it could turn a ship like it's going through a washing machine, and that doesn't really look good when you put it on a ship that doesn't have a a saucer.
Captain,
well,
we're going to
it doesn't
activate
even
the
look that
spin
great on
cycle.
the big boat. I mean, we've already had Alan do videos on the spin on an Enterprise J. It was humongous. And then he went and did it on a Vomp, the biggest, wiry ship in the game. And that thing looked like it was literally a shredder for, like, cheese. Like one of those food processors.
The whole thing spun. It looked ridiculous.
Yeah, it did look pretty ridiculous. and I can see why they would want to limit which ships can do it and which ships can't. But, I at the whole point, it's already in there. Just leave it. Just leave it. Let people do it. I mean, it's not hurting anything. You're not losing any money over it. It's not a glitch. It's not giving anybody an advantage. Just leave it alone. Let people have their fun, damn it.
All right. Have you had a chance to mess with the other ship in here? Hang on a second. Let me see if I find that bad boy.
The Walker class?
Light Explorer.
I sold a couple, but I really wasn't interested in the boat itself. I mean, I've seen a couple out and about in different STFs and stuff like that, and they look pretty cool. And while aesthetically I like the way they look, layout-wise, it wasn't a boat for me. It wasn't the type of boat that I would usually fly. I mean, it's a 5.3 weapon layout, but it's so engineering heavy that it's not appealing to me because there's just way too much engineering on it. Now, if they would have made it, like instead of an engineering boat, made it like a pilot miracle worker boat, that could have been cool. Or even a pilot command boat, that could have been cool. But with that much engineering on it, and the fact that the Ensign Universal is also the miracle worker station, I mean, seriously?
Yeah, I had some beef with that.
That's a useless friggin' slot right there.
I had some beef with that with this one and the sarcophagus, where it's, why would you put such a secondary seating and then limit it so much?
Yeah.
What's the point? Might as well just make it just a universal seat.
Yeah,
and just
and
not even
especially
put the
with all the boats
specialization.
that are out there that have way better seating options. I mean, if you're going to sell a Lobby ship or a lockbox ship, you want it to be as good as some of the available C-store ships, or better if you can, to drive sales and to make it more desirable. But for me, that ship, I'm not wasting 900 Lobby on it. I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I like the way it looks and would love to fly it, it's just going to be one of those ships that's going to sit in my dry dock.
What about the trait? Do you think people might actually want it?
Oh, no. That trait, by far, hands down, is probably the least usable trait I've ever seen. While it has a nice damage boost to it, you're only going to get that for the first 8 seconds that you're in combat. And if you're out of combat at any time in like ISA or CCA, you're basically hurting yourself. So why even slot the trait? I mean, there's other traits you could put in there that you could use over and over again in situations like that would be better. Now, if you were using it for like Corfez, because there are different stages in Corfez where you're going to actually exit combat and go back into combat, that might see a little bit of usefulness. But for everyday activities, no, that trait is not something I would slot.
And that trait is called the Vulcan Hello.
More like the Vulcan don't use it.
Ouch.
Hey, you know me, I'm not going to candy coat it. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I'm going to tell you my opinion on it.
And that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. Now, conversely, we have the other trait coming off of the sarcophagus.
Oh, God.
Yes. The Honored Dead. What the hell?
Or, as I like to call it, honor the cheese.
Oh my gosh, this is something here. Now we're going to get to the patch notes here, where they're going to make changes to both the Vulcan Hello and the Honored Dead. But as of right now, for those who can see the tooltip on the stream, yes, that's you're not looking at something that's made up. This is not Tribble. This is not some doctored instance. This is what's live on holodeck right now. This thing is stupidly overpowered. Stupidly overpowered.
It's insane.
Now, it allowed me not only to remove every single piece of defensive whatever that I have on this ship. I could start out with negative resist, which for those who saw, because I've anchored, it's going there. I will have negative resist on here right now. I could sit there with anchored and take a beating in ISA or HSC and not die in 2 seconds. For that matter, I've tanked ISAs in this ship with this specific loadout and not died. Whereas beforehand, I would die if there was no tank in there and I would be taking the lead in aggroing everything. I literally tried to die and I could not.
Dude, I was in an HSC with you where we were all running that trait. I took a lance to the face and lived.
It's all those coffins that are duct taped to your hull.
Yeah, pretty much. It was insane. When I put it on my baby tank. Now, she's not a full-fledged tank. She doesn't have Miracle Worker already fleshed out and all that. She's got a bunch of other defensive stuff. But in ISA, when I was in combat, I looked at the end of the 20 seconds. I was literally like 81% resist overall. That is insanely huge. That's ridiculous amount of resist. You're basically saying, oh, come and hit me. Oh, is that a mosquito? Sorry, I thought that was a torpedo.
Now,
and oof, the PvPers are crying about this thing because it just turned people into gods that can't be killed.
For those who could not get whatever immunity cheese on their favorite ship, this is the next best thing here. In some cases, even better because there's no freaking lockout on it.
Yep.
I literally took this thing in ISA, aggroed everything, and just sat there, let anchored build up, and I was not only shrugging off hits, but taking more hits and watching the temporary hit points stack. And then stack. And then stack. And for those who saw, I used the Colony Torpedo, which it appears that they've actually added a proc for it, or made it visible, one or the other, but the last time we tested, there was no noticeable proc on it at all. But 10% chance when you're firing this bad boy here to restore 812 shields and 812 hit points. And that was adding temporary hit points to Honored Dead.
Yeah, another great bug, courtesy of our favorite fanboys. And a side note, not to derail, but you suck, Doc.
What did Doc do?
You suck. You didn't see his name flash up across your screen?
Oh, he won one, did he?
He just won the Discovery live on the stream.
Yes, sir. You lucky bastard.
How many boxes was that, 100?
Yeah, about 100.
Now you have a decision. Sell it, make more money, or open it and play with it.
I'm sitting on like 1.2 billion on this tune, and I have the Romulan J in the bank, so
you might as well just open it.
I'm opening this.
Give it to your science, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Now back to the Honored Dead. For those of you who are worried that this is going to be the new cheese for a while, rest assured it's getting, I wouldn't say nerfed, I would say dialed down a bit tomorrow. Instead of the plus 20 every stack, you're getting plus 10. And instead of the 2% health regen every stack, you're getting 1%. Which is still going to give it a little bit of beefiness for tanks. But they also fixed the way it was calculating the resist, pre-resist versus post-resist. So the damages are probably going to go up a little bit.
Well, it depends. Like, it's doing the calculations now post-resist. Whereas beforehand, if you had an incoming shot that was going to do 1,000 damage to you, that's going to do 1,000 damage to you, period. That's what Honored Dead is calculating. Now, if you were able to resist it, or conversely, if you had debuffs on you, it didn't matter. Honored Dead was only looking at the value pre-resist. Now, post-resist, it's going to look at any incoming damage and say, all right, if you're going to get hit for 1,000 damage pre-resist, post-resist, you may get either 500 damage or 1,500 damage, again, depending on what your resistance rating is at the time. Which means that for people who are built to take hits, this is actually working in your favor.
Well, it depends, because it's saying that the issue was the stacks of the trait's bonus were being applied based on pre-resist. Now, is it the stacks of the temporary hit points that are being applied? Because if it's applying those temporary hit points based on post-resist, then those temp hit points are actually going to go down.
Oh, true. Shoot, I read that in reverse. My bad. Yeah,
yeah, so I was like, wait a minute, what's he talking about?
All right, if it's doing, well, yeah, negative resist, you're still going to get those hit points faster, but you're also going to get a bigger chance of dying like a madman.
Yeah, but so yeah, it's after tomorrow, we'll probably see less people trying to use it on their everyday builds, and I'm probably thinking that tanks are still going to want to use this trait for the extra resists.
But this is actually nerfing tanks a bit here. Not necessarily nerf. I'm putting nerf in air quotes right now. More like, yeah, Honor Dead, if you have a lot of resist, it's not going to be great for you. Whereas if you don't have a lot of resist, guess what? Honor Dead is going to help you out.
Well, I still think that it'll help out the tanks in the long run. Because like I said, I put it on my tank build, which had all, massive defensive stacking. She had like 40 some odd resists across the board before this. And by the time it was all said and done, counting diminishing returns, she was sitting at 80% at the end of the 20 stacks. So I still think that people are going to see that. It's just that people that don't stack any resists whatsoever aren't going to benefit as much from it.
All right, because if we're looking at this here, if it's going to calculate post-resist, it's going to take you longer to build up to that 10,000 cumulative damage if you have a lot of resistance, whereas if you don't, it comes back to you quicker. So as long as you don't pop, you'll start building up those stacks, which then
so I mean, adversely, a good tank is going to have some powerful healing abilities or damage mitigation to basically prevent themselves from dying long enough to get this stuff stacked up all the way.
Right, but that's the point, though. I mean, it's going to take you longer to build it up, and as you build it up, you're going to have more resistance to where it's building up slowly instead of quickly pre-resist.
And I think this change was meant to reflect the fact that this trait was supposed to be for the tankier class builds. An actual true tank to utilize it more, rather than sticking it on a glass cannon and becoming immune to everything. Because that's literally not what this trait was about. It wasn't about making glass cannons the tank on the field. It was about making tanks be able to survive a little bit more and be able to do their job as a tank to take all that damage in and survive long enough for everybody else to stay alive.
I'm actually going to go pug an ISA right now just to show people how ridiculous this thing is right now.
Oh yeah, dude, you definitely got to show them that. Actually, pull me in, because I wanna do this run with the Discovery while Doc is setting up his boat.
All right. Get to see.
Let's go do this.
Yeah, baby. I mean, this is ridiculous. I'm actually gonna turn on Threatening Stance and just go nuts.
Yeah, you take all the threat. Take all the threat. I welcome you taking all the threat.
I'm just going to go nuts. Okay, shift 0, shift her, threatening stance. There we go.
Because I'm going to sit here and science my ass off.
This should definitely be interesting.
Are you running a beam build on that ship, Proteus?
I'm running my science build. Do you not pay attention to my videos?
All right. What your weapons are they all beams? Are they beams / no, wait a minute. If I remember correctly.
I got 2 torps, 2 beams, or
yep.
3 torps and 4 beams and 1 omni.
All right, Q pop, let's go.
Waiting for the match.
Silent Final, thank you very much for watching the show. This run is going to be here for you. We're going to do this in your name.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
Too much pressure. We can't fail now.
Can't fail, baby.
Screw it up.
All right, here we go. We're going in. Leroy Jenkins.
Oh, watch the absurdity of this one. Logs running. Threatening stance on. All right, healed up.
That took too long.
Yep. All right, here's normally where I would get killed. Butcher. And right now... Come on, activate. Yeah, even with, you know, RSP, I would still get annihilated. Because look, no shields here. Where the other spheres go? Unless you nailed them all.
I put them up in the gate.
Ah, okay.
I am taking way too much threat. I'm gonna pop.
Oh, hold on, I'm coming. Nope,
Nope,
you're dead.
dead.
Dang it.
Yeah, it was rough.
I didn't know you were taking them up to the gate, or else, you know, I would have swung by and killed them all. Crap, this.
No, I was already at the transformer, which is the proper way to do it. You know, blow past the spheres, go to the next transformer, take that one out, and deal with everything.
Right, but there's stuff way back here still that these guys are dealing with.
Yeah, I see that.
See, I'm running an Oxton Bat build on this, which makes me take off high yield, and I regret it already.
This is gonna be a bad run.
Yeah,
Because
but
I'm
we're just
not
doing
there.
a demo. Like right now, look, I should have been dead 4 times over.
Well, how about you bring your threat-generating
It's
butt over
already
here?
here. Hold your horses. Like, I'm even trying to kill myself. It's not working.
Oh, I got blown up. But I did manage to get off the Lorca maneuver.
Nice. Alright, no RSP. Look at all those temporary hit points I'm getting. Wow. Yeah, this is just stupidly overpowered. It needed to.
Yeah, and you're in a squishier boat than I am.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. They need to fix that with a gravimetric rift. It's just moving targets away. Look, forward shield facing down. I should have been dead already. Still at 100% hit points. This is nuts. Alright, I'm firing a gravimetric just to blow myself up. Because I can.
You won't even get that chance.
Wow.
That was rough. Don't forget to loot. Don't forget to loot.
Oh, that's just ridiculous. Yeah, this wasn't meant to show any sort of record-breaking runs. This is just... Alright, let me just get hit. Come on, hit me. Hit me. Quit trying to hit me and just hit me. That's a little ridiculous. Sorry.
Don't forget to loot your loot when you're in these maps now, because loot is important. You must
Oh,
have...
yes, let's go with Doc, please, talk to us a little bit about salvage and how much salvage ops you've been doing.
So salvage seems to be pretty straightforward in that it's basically like operating a one-armed bandit at the casino. You can go in, you can decide which of the traits you want to keep. You lock those down, and everything else you can unlock. The only wrinkle is that if, let's say, you have 5 traits and you keep 3 of them unlocked, all 3 of those will spin, so you'll get whatever it comes up with. And then when you get what you like, you lock it down, and there you go. And I think that the toughest thing about this is going to be the salvage price on it, because unless you're pulling blue 12s consistently, you're going to have to be doing a lot of grinding and or purchasing a lot of things off of the exchange to get the salvage necessary to upgrade all 5 of those particular slots on a given weapon if you need to.
And keep in mind, we already have the salvage tricks. So if you want loot, okay, there's some things you can do to get lots of loot. You can either do, like, you know, the space tours where you're doing ISA, CSA, KSA, CCA, get all the loot from those, and you get your marks and whatnot. But there are other places you can go. You can do the patrol missions by yourself on advanced to get better loot, and do those in succession. Like with the Tau Dewa circuit, you could do all 6 systems in a 30-minute range, and then start all over again. Just keep grinding that way. Or you could do the Badlands, which is basically that theme park with the Mirror Universe. You go in there, you do kill all those dudes, do all those different points, and as you're doing that, just collect all that loot as much as you can get your hands on it. Just keep salvaging it left and right. I mean, it's not going to be hard once you get into the habit of it. Right now, the problem is nobody's in the habit of hitting that F button and hitting need or greed on these loot items, because for so long we didn't want any of it.
Badlands is a good point. You got to be able to kill things, which means you probably need to go in there with a group larger than, say, 2. But
yeah, I mean, if you got a high DPS boat, you can go in there literally and do what you need to do and get loot. But if you're on a lower end build that doesn't really put out a whole lot of DPS right now, join up with a bunch of your friends or some buddies and just go into the Badlands or do the patrol missions together and do that to collect the loot and get the salvage you need to redo your weapons.
Little quality of life trick that I've actually learned from Proteus is, like, say for example, I want to salvage this piece right over here. If you right click on it and then go to salvage item, and then it gives you this confirmation message. If you don't want to deal with this extra step here, hold down control, right click, go to salvage. Oh, hold on a second. It's control, right? I'm holding.
Yeah, you hold down control, right click, hit salvage, and you don't have that confirmation pop up on the screen.
Probably because I'm holding another button. Hang on.
Probably.
Yep, that was it.
It also works the same with if you're discarding stuff. Like back in the day, we used to just discard loot for EC. It also did the same thing to where you could just hold control down, hit discard or discard all, and you wouldn't get the confirmation screen, so you could clear out your inventory pretty quick.
There was something else I was going with this on a related note there. The salvage tech, blah, blah, blah. Something about popping a snowflake and getting lots of fat loot. Oh, protected items are not eligible to be salvaged. So
correct.
If I had another piece of loot there and I wanted to protect it, boom, you're good.
Yeah, just about everything that's lockbox related or reputation related. Most of those things, if not all, are non-salvageable items, so you don't have to worry about accidentally salvaging your best torpedoes or your reputation gear and stuff like that.
Now, I did salvage a epicked out crafted tricobalt because I made a better one afterwards, but that's just me.
Yeah, the crafted ones you can actually salvage to get the materials and stuff back.
Oh, and speaking of the re-engineering stupidity, Bort's favorite torpedo, yes, Borticus, I'm calling you out.
The anti-proton.
This son of a frickin'... Yeah. I can't even salvage this bastard, but I can re-engineer it right now. And you get to re-roll some of the mods on it. Now, if I took this to Epic, then, it'd be better off.
On a torpedo-related topic, I have an issue. And this is probably going to be people getting pissed off at me for reporting a bug live like this, but it's a minor bug. I'm looking through the patch notes. I'm trying to find where they stated that the particle emission plasma torps were going to start getting the static mods for crafting when crafting them. I'm looking through last week's patch notes to see if I can find exactly what they said. Give me a second here.
While he's doing that, I'd like to bring everybody else over here to our sponsors today. Kalis. Best place for you to go buy shoes. Kalis Shoe Source.
Wow.
Wow.
Today is a good day to buy.
Did you think that one up all by yourself?
No, actually, somebody made a meme out of that, and I thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Okay.
All right, I found the line where they were talking about the particle emission plasma torpedo. They stated in last week's patch that it can now obtain, or Tuesday's patch rather, that it can now obtain crafting-only modifiers when initially crafted, right? All right, let me run to my bank here. There's a problem with what they did. I don't know how they did it or what they did with it, but previously, particle emission plasma torpedoes at Epic had 4 mods, right? Am I correct on this, Odin?
I'm about to look this bad boy up right now, right here. Yep. So we
All right.
have the accuracy damage epic mod. Then for this one in particular, I have a crit D ×2 crit hit, and then the other mod, the 4th mod, is the actual proc itself.
Correct. So basically, at Epic, you would get the accuracy damage. Like with mine would be crit D, crit H2. That's 4 basic mods on the weapon itself, plus the mod itself, the plasma damage. Okay. All right. I'm going to link you a torpedo, Odin. You tell me what's wrong with it. Linking it in DPS After Dark right now. Tell me what's wrong with that torpedo.
Has a 1 extra mod on it, sir.
Yes, it does. But you know what else is wrong?
Uh-huh.
It cannot be reverse engineered because it has 6 mods on it. 7 being the actual ability on it.
So it cannot be re-engineered at all.
Correct. So whatever they did to give the torpedoes back their crafting only mods like spread or turn or whatever the mods they were available for the torps, whatever they did kind of messed the system up to where we're actually crafting particle emission torpedoes now with 6 inherent mods on them, including the epic, which basically disqualifies it from the re-engineering system per se. But I have yet to see a torpedo-specific craftable mod come on any of these torpedoes, and I've made probably about a dozen of them so far, and not a one of them has a crafting-only mod on it. So I don't know if it's a bug, if it's working as intended, if this is what they intended for, instead of being able to re-engineer them, you'd get more powerful torp. I don't know. But I know something isn't right. So you heard it here, folks. Torpedo borked yet again.
Just
You
when
probably-
you think it might actually come out to play nicely, no.
You
Yeah.
probably can't re-engineer it because the slot machine only has a
Correct.
certain amount of rows.
Yeah, they were supposed to, when they did the crafting only mods on them, basically that was going to allow us to re-engineer them now, because now they'd have their proper 5 mods on them. But since they did whatever they did screwed up the way the mods are being put on it, so now it's winding up with 6 mods and still can't be reverse engineered. Which is kind of weird, because when I saw that pop up, I was like, wait a minute, that can't be the right number of mods on there. That's something wrong, because I got this torp at ultra rare and it already had 5 mods, and I was like, there's something not right with that. So I'm thinking somewhere along the lines somebody misplaced a semicolon or a comma or a period or something.
Well, it seems the crit hit is still static on this thing. So that's probably where it's stuck.
It might be. Because I've got another torpedo that has the crit D, crit H times 2, so I don't know if that's considered static.
Hold up. All right. The proc itself is a mod. There's one. Then you have your mods going up to epic, so there should be 3 more at that point, and then you have your epic mod itself.
Which would give you 5.
Which would give you 5. So, doing the math, looking at the one I already had crafted pre this season, it would be 1, 2, 3, because I have the times 2 there, so there's 2 more, 3, 4, with this is a crit hit, which is standard on that torpedo, and
plus
then the
proc, ability,
which is 5. Huh?
Yeah, plus the proc, so that would be a standard of 5.
5.
But
yes.
with what they were going to do with adding the crafting only modifiers, it should have given it 5 mods and then the proc. And that's what they were trying to do with, upgrading and allowing the crafting only modifiers on the Pep Torp. But I'm looking at yours. Are you showing a Pep Torp in there with a thrust modifier on it?
I'm showing a Pep Torp with a thrust modifier on it, yes.
Okay, so we can confirm that they are getting the crafting only modifiers then, right?
Correct.
Okay, so then somewhere along the line, somebody allowed one too many mods on the torpedo.
My guess is that the fixed mod for where it was, where it used to have, which is crit hit, is still stuck there, and they need to remove that.
That's a possibility, yeah. Which is sad because I know they're not going to retrofix them. Yeah, because I know they're not going to retrofix them. So that I would have to literally recraft that to get a spread on it. Because I want spread on my torp. I really do.
But it would lock out your torpedo spread whenever that thing procs.
And?
You may not want that if you have something higher than a rank 1.
Yeah, but if it's auto-procking on 2 different sets of torpedoes, then what's the difference?
I mean, true, but there's some moment. All right, I'm one of those guys that actually likes to pick and choose my targets and then use the right firing mode for the right scenario.
Yeah, well, with your builds, yeah, but with my build, my torpedoes are there literally to keep firing at all costs. To, keep the clouds going, generating, keep the epic damage going, the EPGs. So the more opportunity I have to automate the spreads coming out, the better it is for me.
This is true.
But I'm hoping they don't delete the 6 mod torpedoes, because that thing is sexy. I don't even care that I can't reverse engineer it. It's just sexy looking.
Oh, one other thing I almost forgot to do here anyway. For those who don't know or haven't started yet, go do the new episode. Go get your 1,000. What was it, like, 400 marks or something like that?
Yeah, you get
1,000.
You get your 400 reputation things, and then you can do the Omega particles every day for 14 days. Oh, actually, yeah, 14 days straight after the featured episode to get your new ship, because that tray or that console on that new ship, that Bajoran ship, that console is going to be must-have. It is one of the most powerful consoles I've seen put out in a while, since the Kelvin timeline.
There's something going to be a little bit sick with that, if that is actually allowing torpedoes to fire with no cooldown.
Well,
there's going to be
in my mind, the way it's worded,
cooldown.
In my mind, it would basically allow torpedoes to fire twice as fast. So basically, if it had a 5-second cooldown in between firing, then that 100% would remove half of that. So you're getting 2.5 per torpedo in between each shot, basically. That's the way I would think it would work. But you know how the cryptic math is. Sometimes 100% is not 100%. It's actually 500%. But if it does work that way, that would make torpedoes way too overpowered. Unlimited firing of torps?
Come on, what's wrong with that?
What I want to do is tested out with the Romulan hyperplasma torpedo, the Omega shotgun torpedo, and 3 torpedo officers, and see how fast I can barf out those torps.
The entire map would be filled with that. You crashed a server.
Probably.
The hyper plasma in particular would be like a Congo line of death. That'd be fantastic.
I can already make it a conga line. I want to make it a party ball.
Wait, you could walk from torpedo from your ship to the target.
And?
Yeah, that would be pretty badass. Because I'm actually working on a Romulan scimitar build that's pure plasma beams, plasma torps, the whole 9 yards. Doing an exotic torpedo plasma hybrid, to where its base damage is coming from like exotic torpedo clouds and the actual torpedo damage itself, and whatever the plasma beams are going to do. So it's basically being built up as an exotic plasma, which I think could be pretty cool. I've already pulled like 75k with the build so far, just messing around, and it's doing some interesting things, but I want to push it even further. And since we were on the subject of that ship in the featured episode, if you guys have not played this episode yet, I highly suggest you do, because not only is it filled with all sorts of voiceover goodness, but there is also some very revealing tidbits and elements to this episode that will leave you questioning what's coming. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Until next week, when we can just blurt out whatever thing's going on and talk about,
Exactly.
our hypotheses and theories about what's coming.
Wow, Hunter Tech gave me a whole bunch of freaking hit points. I should have been dead
crazy.
like 9 times over already.
So those
Yeah,
coffins...
you're up close and personal with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm half tempted to take all the keys that I got on this tin and go over to Klingon and see if I can get that carrier. You have that yet?
No, I don't have the carrier. I wasn't really going after the carrier because, although it is a cool ship, it's huge. It is a monster of a ship. It's as big as a J, as far as length.
Really?
The fighters actually are getting a patch tomorrow, to where they're, instead of using regular disruptors, they're going to use sensor link disruptors, so they're going to have a higher crit rate. So they're actually going to be a little bit more damaging. But the fighters themselves are designed specifically to be suicide bombers. They do not benefit at all from any type of pet healing, pet buffing, that kind of thing. You cannot heal them. But they also have the ability to be barfed out faster. You can basically crank out 12 of these things in under 10 seconds if you do it right. So you can constantly keep them going out. Yeah, Tanky is going to love that boat.
Tanky is going to hate the not healing the pet part, but he's going to love being able to spit them out like torps.
Now, from what I understand, the boat itself has a pretty decent layout for that size of a cruiser, but it turns like a brick. Lowest turn rate in the game of any ship so far. That includes the Aatrox and the Voku, which were pretty much the lowest at that time. But people who have flown it has said that the ship is so beefy with its ability to use the tractor arrays and stuff like that, that it literally stays alive long enough for the pets to do what they need to do. And then you throw the Honor Dead on there, and it's game over.
I still think that Miracle Worker Ensign Universal slot is just a slap in the face.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of that particular seating design, but whatever.
If they turned one of the, Lieutenant Commander, if I remember correctly, seatings over to like a universal Miracle Worker, then I would say that would probably be the best torpedo siege boat in the game.
Yeah, it did have a lot of potential for that.
Because with Lieutenant Commander, Miracle Worker, and then lieutenant commander or commander, engineering / command. Yeah, yeah, nothing's living. Nothing is living.
Especially with all those suicide fighters.
Oh, plus the suicide? Oh, come on. Come on.
I don't know. There's a lot of good things coming out of the Discovery Box and a lot of things and some weird stuff going on. But for the most part, I'm rather happy with the way, this lockbox was delivered to us. Like I said, the only thing I'm really salty about is the lack of bridges, because that's the one big draw to these special ships, these show ships. You got to have the bridge. I mean, they did it for the J. They did it for, Voyager when that was redone. I mean, come on. It's one of the most popular things in the game is the bridge for those iconic ships.
Meh.
Yeah, I know you're not one of those guys that spends a lot of time looking around on your bridge. But I make videos, and I kind of like to have places to make these videos, and that would have been a great bridge to make a video.
Which is kind of odd when you think about it, because the last big bridge that they did that, kind of made waves was the Kelvin boats. And they spent a lot of time on those, making all the details look good and adding lens flare. So, they can do it if they put their mind to it. Those bridges look fantastic.
Well, a lot of their reasoning behind not doing it is because they say it's too much cost and investment versus payout. Okay, I understand that. And the reason they did the Galaxy interior complete redone was because of the stuff that they were doing with the episodes. They were going to redo those anyway for the interior episode maps and stuff like that. So they figured, okay, we've got the maps, let's just turn them into a bridge interior so people can use it. I understand that too. But we're talking about iconic bridges and locations in the game that should be in here. And one of the most iconic things you can do for the players and the fan base and all the role players and the fanboys is give them the bridges that they can see in the TV shows, because that's what everybody wants.
Well, and that point right there segues into why I don't understand why they would perform a cost-benefit analysis and not come down on the notion that they would get much more in terms of revenue out of all the fanboys and the other guys who are buying this thing. Because let's be frank here, when they drop a lockbox and they put all the time and money into developing the things that go into that lockbox, that's when their revenue spikes. People are just dropping massive amounts of coin on Zen and or working the exchange or whatever they do to make money, and that's income to them. I'm kind of surprised if that's their rationale, that they decided that a bridge, which a lot of fanboys would want, just isn't worth it.
Well, I understand the cost, because it does take a lot of time and effort and design aspect to actually create these interiors, because it's not easy. They have to do a lot of accurate measurements, and they've got to work with screenshots and try to get CBS to get floor plans and stuff like that. It is a lot of work and effort to put it in, but in my eyes, it would be worth it for your fan base to do it, because damn well people are going to buy it just for the bridge. But a lot of people found out there is no bridge, and they're like, yeah, not touching it. Don't want it. Sorry, thanks. I mean, there's an entire forum post right now on the forum with people disgusted at the fact that there is no bridge for this ship. I mean, there's some of them that are raging about it. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I can understand why, but I mean, come on, give us the bridge.
Luke brought out a decent point, and it was somewhat touched on by both of you there. They could have a time-sensitive deadline, pick and choose your battles, push out what you can in order to be able to make the deadline for the 8th anniversary, and then come back, design the bridge, sell it later.
Yeah, I don't buy that time-sensitive crap, because 8th anniversary was going to be big on its own, because you got the ship, you got a featured episode, and you got the anniversary event running around it and people doing things for that. That would have been, in and of itself, a big deal by itself. So they could have literally pushed back the lockbox if they wanted to squeeze the bridge in. So them saying, oh, it's a time-sensitive issue, I get it. You've got deadlines, but somewhere up in the upper chain, they should have made the decision, okay, let's take a little bit more time on the lockbox. get the bridge in there, satisfy the player base. We'll make more money in the long run off of it because more people will buy it because it does have the bridge in the iconic locations. I wouldn't even be mad at this point if they went the route with the Galaxy interior and made it a C-Store unlock. I wouldn't even be mad at that point. I just want the bridge. Put it in the game. Because I've got plans for Discovery and some things with videos, and I'm kind of having trouble with working around the fact that I don't have an interior to work with.
And you want to actually go and have this thing made and look pretty on YouTube, don't you?
Yes, because there are certain things that I would like to do on the bridge for, certain parts of my videos, certain things that I want to record for other people to be able to include in their videos. And without that bridge, it's literally holding back my projects. So one of the things I was looking forward to was that bridge. I really do like that bridge. I really do.
So, do you actually like that bridge?
Yes, I like that bridge. So I was excited when I saw the first, pictures of the front of the ship, and I saw that you could actually see into where the bridge is, and I was like, wait a minute. You can actually make out where the people are sitting in there. What the hell? Oh, that's pretty cool. So I figured if they were going to go that level of detail with it, then the bridge was going to be awesome.
No bridge for you.
Yeah, no bridge for me. Come back 1 year.
All right. On the non-bridge talk, what do you expect to see coming next week? Aside from this patch being fixed, fixing a trait or 2 or 3 and a couple other items there, and some of the voiceover work for the featured episode.
I'm anticipating that a trickle of information is going to start coming leading up to the summer. Because there's some... I can't really talk about it until next week because... spoilers. But there are things that I have seen, things that I have partaken in, and that are leading me to believe that there's something grand on the horizon for Star Trek Online. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't done it. So everybody, your job this week is to play the featured episode so we don't spoil it for you, because it's that major.
You guys are hyping this up. This better be good.
Dude, I'm surprised you're not playing it right now.
I'm on my Klingon side trying to get this sarcophagus.
Good luck. If I see your Klingon name come across the screen, I'm declaring war on the Empire. Just saying. It's going to be war.
Closing remarks for this week.
Ready? It's already that time? Damn, yeah, it's been a while.
Already that time, man.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Star Trek is starting to get interesting again. And if you're like me, you're a kid in a candy store at this moment, looking for the prize at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. So stay frosty, stay Trekky. We're out of here.
That is the most sugary cornflake remark I've ever heard come out of you in the entire, 3 years that I've known you? Wow.
Yeah, I'm in sort of a good mood today for some reason.
I can tell. Somebody likes their ship. Good job, Cryptic. Good job. Doc, any remarks from you?
No. Happy to be here. I salute you. Well done.
Well, thank you very much for giving us your feedback and opinion on this, as well as, getting a nice little zoom on there, even though I couldn't do it right, but you at least got to see the bridge. +1 to you. And thanks, Proteus, for giving us a little bit of inside scoop on the science side of that ship, as well as a little bit of research and development. And to everybody else out there, see you next week with Spoilers! You've been warned. Get to it! Good night, folks.
My ears.